Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kaylee and I use this channel to document ways that I have made and am making a more intentional life. My hope that is if you follow along for this journey, you might find some ways to add intentionality into your life too. And my dog has something to say about it. He would like me to get intentional. He's laying over here on this. I don't know if you can see him. My dog would like me to get intentional about sitting with him on the couch, which we are going to do very shortly because today I don't plan on leaving the house, but I do have some things that I need to get done. I have some fall baking that I would like to do and just kind of generally cleaning up the house and resetting for another week. It is Monday today, but I find I often reset better on a Monday than a Sunday because I have the house to myself. I don't typically go to the office on Mondays. So today we are going to get some things done, but it's also just going to be kind of a cozy fall at home vlog situation. I was actually watching someone else's vlog and I overthink everything, but I also overthink creating content, specifically vlog content. And then I realized a lot of the things that I like watching the most are people just living their daily life. So we're not doing anything super special today. We're just hanging out together on this Monday afternoon. And it is afternoon. It is already 1 o'clock. So soon we'll be making lunch. I had a pretty late breakfast. And what I planned to make for breakfast, I didn't end up doing. So we're actually going to do that for lunch. And that's going to be a carrot cake baked oatmeal, which I'm excited for. I already have all of my dry ingredients in the pan that I'm going to bake it in. I'm just going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. And then I'm going to do something that I've never done before. And we're going to see how it works. But instead of using eggs, I'm going to use flax eggs, which is just flaxseed meal and water to create kind of a thick binder like eggs serve to be in a dish like this. So I don't know, I have flaxseed meal that I need to use. And this recipe specifically said eggs or flax eggs. So I decided why not try it. If you've heard me talk about food at all, then you may know that I don't really eat meat. And I say don't really because there are like a couple of places that I will attempt to get chicken and very few places that I will attempt to get beef. But I'm not vegan by any means. I eat eggs. I eat fish and other seafood. So this flax egg thing is not something that I've ever done before and not something that I will do to switch out eggs all of the time, but I thought it would be interesting to try for this recipe. You're not really going to be able to see what I'm doing, and I am not doing this as a baking tutorial or anything like that. I will be happy to share the recipes that I use down below, but this is more of just a bake with me. Kind of like if we were on Facetime with each other. This past weekend was a very heavy prep weekend for me in the kitchen because I had a lot that needed to be either used up or things that I had plans for. And this weekend I just had the motivation to do it. Saving all of my carrot scraps for my vegetable stock, which is one of the things that I made this past weekend. I had that whole bag completely full to the brim. So it was time to do a vegetable stock. And then I also made homemade limoncello, which I had been prepping for a couple of weeks. The lemon skin and vodka had been sitting in my pantry. And so it was ready on Saturday. And it's very good. It needs a little bit longer just to kind of like mix with the simple syrup, but it's delicious. And then I also made milk. I made sunflower seed milk because I had a bunch of sunflowers that I needed to use. And I had been putting them in granolas and my yogurt, but I found I just was not using them up. So I looked up a recipe for both sunflower butter and sunflower seed milk. And I figured since I was planning to bake some things, I would be able to get through the milk faster. 2 cups of the milk. My flax, quote unquote, eggs seem to be ready. I was pleasantly surprised by how it came out taste-wise. My husband also really liked it. He said it was better than the milk we buy at the store, which we typically buy almond milk, 1/3 of a cup of maple syrup, 3 tablespoons of oil, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So anyways, it was just a really not hectic, it was a really busy time in the kitchen. I also bought a 10-pound bag of black beans at Costco, and I made 2 pounds of beans this weekend in the crock pot. I found a online method that didn't require you to soak the beans, which I was thrilled about because that is just longer of a process than I'm wanting. I also have homemade vanilla extract, and that was too much of it. I am constantly seeking new ways to make things from scratch or new ways to lessen waste. I'm gonna shred these carrots. You can also do this in a food processor, which is much faster. But I only have a NutriBullet, and so when we first got married, it was perfect. But now I've started making some of my own pasta sauces that need to be blended, or making creamy soups that need to be blended, and I have to do like 4 batches through the NutriBullet. So I can make it work, and I have made it work. But I think for Christmas, I'm going to ask for a new blender, or money towards a new blender, because those things are not cheap. And because I have something that works, it's just really inconvenient. I'm not gonna foot the money, but if I could at least have some money towards it, I would appreciate that. So we'll see. What I said that for is you could totally chop the carrots and put them in a food processor or blender, which I have done before. It doesn't necessarily, it makes it fine chunks, not thin strips. And I kind of want the texture of the carrot to just be like a thinner strip. And you also just need to watch your little hands, because even this grating tool could chop your finger or slice into your skin if you're not careful. Just pouring the liquid ingredients in now to the oat and carrot mixture, and then I'm gonna mix it just in the pan. She's all mixed up. I'm gonna slap it in the oven. Breakers in there. I'm gonna turn off the light. Our new couch has been so nice, and I very much enjoy working from it now. What I'm looking for is granola recipe. Oh, I love that it actually uses pureed pumpkin instead of just like pumpkin spice. There's some things that I don't have, but I'm not worried about not having it. Like coconut oil, I'll just use avocado oil instead. And then I don't have coconut flakes, but I don't like coconut that much, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then I don't have pecans or pumpkin seeds, but I do have sunflower seeds. And I don't think I have any nuts, but I can put the sunflower seeds in. And then I have pumpkin pie spice and I have sea salt. So I can make a version of this. And that's one thing that I do try to do, is make sure that I'm using what I actually already have. And I honestly don't often have a lot of seeds or nuts on hand. So making some of these recipes, it might feel like, oh, I've got to run out and go and get this. But one, I could easily make it without the nuts or seeds. I'd be fine with that. And number two, I already have sunflower seeds, so I'm just going to incorporate those into that granola. It's what I've done with other granola as well. So I'm not going to run out to the store and get coconut oil and pecans and pumpkin seeds, because I don't necessarily have to have them. A lot of the other baking things that I would like to make use sourdough discard, and I don't have any readily available. I actually need to wake up my sourdough starter. His name is Cecil, if you haven't heard me talk about him before. But I should probably wake him up because I do want to bake some bread soon. I also really want more bagels, and I need discard to make the bagels that I make. And since I already have my laptop here, I am going to get a little bit of work done. So I'm going to check in a little while. So while I make this granola, I thought I would just kind of talk about some things, because one thing that has kind of kept me from making more just at-home content is, one, either feeling that it needs to look a certain way or feeling that it needs to provide a service almost. And then I realized it actually doesn't need to be that deep. It can just be something as simple as this. And that maybe this could kind of serve as a body doubling type video. One thing I have to remember, side note, when I'm baking is that the measurements are precise for a reason. Because when I'm cooking, even if I'm going by a recipe, I am always adding more of something and then less of something else because I know what I want it to taste like. Baking, I have to remember, it's a little bit more of a science, and I should listen to the recommendations provided. And luckily, since this is granola, it doesn't have to be super precise. All right, I'm gonna take the oatmeal out now. It takes at least twice as long, if not longer, to try and film things aesthetically, or try to do it in such a way that you can see every step that I'm taking or every ingredient I'm adding in. It makes it not fun for me. It makes it very stressful for me because when I am in the kitchen, I have such an awareness of my space and I just know what I need to do next. I clean in the middle of cooking. Often I don't even have clothes on when I'm cooking because I get so hot and overwhelmed that I would just rather cook practically naked. And I, can't film that very easily. All right, granola's done. That was so super easy to put together. So now that's gonna be in there for like 40 minutes. I really want to make a cup of tea to go with my oats. So I am going to set the kettle on and I'm going to drink a very specific tea because I happen to have creamer for another recipe that I plan on making later this week probably. But this is a tea that I get when I'm in the Netherlands and I'm going to drink it out of my mug from the place that I lived, Alkmaar. I actually lived right across the street from this place, the house met the kokel, or the house with the cannonball. A cannonball went through this house. It's like one of the last wooden structures as well on this particular canal. And they have put the cannonball on the outside of the house so that you can still see it. So I have my baked oats. So it's a carrot cake baked oat thing. I mentioned that I got a lot of stuff done in the kitchen this weekend, which is true, but it was quite productive. And it's so funny because I filmed a video a while back, which was kind of like a meal prep with me. And it took me nearly all day and kind of like 2 days to film that and do all of those things. Now, it still would have taken me a really long time because I did a lot. I did a lot more than I have done since that time because I did too much. I did too much that weekend. But filming it made it take even longer. I remember really being unhappy the next week. I did not feel accomplished at all. So I haven't really filmed any food related videos since then. And that's one of those things that I talked about earlier of just wanting it to feel relaxed, like you are hanging out with me while I'm doing all of that versus me trying to show you everything I'm doing. Anyways, so this weekend, I was shocked by how little time some of the things that I did ended up taking, specifically making the sunflower seed milk. You just soak the seeds overnight and then you rinse it and blend with water the next day and then add the sweetener and vanilla and all of that to it. But then you have to like squeeze it out I used a double folded cheesecloth. They also make like nut milk bags. And that process was awful again because of having a small blender. I had to do like 6 different batches of it and I was exhausted by the end of it. I had also already set up my black beans to be cooking in the crock pot. And when I finished all of that, I was like, oh my gosh, how long did that take? It feels like I've been in here forever. And it was less than an hour. But if I had tried to film that, it probably would have taken me 2 to 2.5 hours. And that's not what I want this to be in any shape or form. And because I finished it fairly quickly, then I jumped in the shower, got ready for the day, and we ended up going to a pumpkin patch. Well, I shouldn't say pumpkin patch. They definitely have pumpkin patches where the pumpkins came from, but you don't go to the pumpkin patch. They bring all of their pumpkins in and around their pumpkin barn. So they are all sorted by different type of pumpkin, and they're on tables and hay bales, and it's very cute, and it's a very stress-free shopping experience if you are going to buy pumpkins, because you can kind of go straight to the ones that you know you like and stay away from the ones that you don't. I found some different pumpkin varieties that I never knew existed, specifically one that they called Grizzly Bear, and it's like a neutral brown pumpkin. And I've never been so excited about a pumpkin in my whole life than seeing that specific color. It looked like chocolate milk. I didn't buy one because it would literally sit on my table until it started to rot and then I would have to throw it out. And I realized what I really enjoy about going to a pumpkin patch, or specifically this place that was more pumpkin barn-esque, was 1, it's free to go. And 2, what I like is seeing all of the different shapes and colors and varieties of pumpkin. There's typically some very pretty light, which sounds so silly, but to my eye that enjoys photography, I'm kind of drawn to the look of that. And so I got some very cute pictures of different varieties of pumpkin. Also got some cute pictures with the dog. We took a little bit of footage, but it was very, very busy and there were so many children about. It was very loud, so there was definitely no talking that was going to happen. We ended up just getting a couple of little snacks. I got boiled peanuts, which I love and I haven't had in a very long time. And then I also had an apple fritter, which was absolutely delicious. And then Jonathan had a pickle, they made the pickles, I think. And he got a caramel apple. And Jonathan is a huge apple cider fan, so he also got a gallon, or even maybe more than that. It was huge thing of apple cider. And I was hoping for the pumpkin patch to kind of be its own video, but we went to a different one than we planned on going to because the one that I like the most is no longer dog friendly. And it's like over an hour away. And so it wouldn't feel worth it just to go up there to try and film something when what I actually like to do is take a picture of my dog in front of a pumpkin. And I wouldn't have been able to do that. And then one of the other dog-friendly ones that we have gone to that is a little bit more pumpkin patch-esque had really bad reviews this year. And so that one is like 45 minutes away. And again, just didn't feel worth the drive. Okay, my granola has about 15 more minutes in the oven. I'm gonna clean up a little bit, and then I am going to sit down and start reading. And before I start reading, I will tell you a little bit about the 2 books that I'm reading right now. Okay, I have just a couple minutes before the granola is done. The physical book that I'm reading right now is September by Rosamund Pilcher. I have read her book Winter Solstice and I adore that book. It's a book that I feel like I could go back to over and over and over, year after year, and never get sick of it and almost find kind of a new person or story to focus in on as she weaves a lot of people's lives together in her books. September is very much the same. We are in a small northern Scottish village looking at the lives of various different people, how they interact and overlap, and they are all kind of culminating up to this big dance that was introduced in the first couple of chapters of the book. So it also seems to be bringing a lot of people home who haven't been home in quite a while, and so seeing how their stories have drifted over the years and how they are slowly weaving back together has been very fun. She paints such a beautiful picture of Scotland. Her descriptions of Scotland make me feel like I am there, and even more so make me feel like I would like to be there. And it's quite a thick book. It's a small book, but it's quite a thick book. So it's taking me some time to get through this, but I also primarily read this during the day. So that's another reason it's taking me a little while to get through this, but I am loving every moment of reading it. And then the other book that I'm reading, which is on my Kindle, and this is primarily my nighttime read, it's the second book of a series, and it actually has not yet released. I have been so graciously gifted an advanced copy of this book through NetGalley and the publisher and the author, which I'm very grateful for. I actually just finished the first book of this series 2 days ago. I so enjoyed the first book. It's called The Chic Crone, and this one is Crone of Flames, and we're following one main character. Her name is Olivia. Her husband has recently passed, and she is now realizing that she has fire magic, and she is actually the fire crone of Rowanswood, which is a hidden magical village in Cornwall, England. And there are house pixies and a talking cat, and I am not typically a cat person, but I am a Magnus person. Magnus is her feline familiar in this book, and I really adore him. There is also kind of an interwoven storyline with the Fae, specifically the High Fae, and I do appreciate, similar to Heather Fawcett's Emily Wilde's trilogy, the Fae are painted in a very dark way, which is initially how fairy stories came about, was that they were quite dark, especially those who are highborn versus the more common fae. So we do get a pretty brutal look at the High Fae that interact with the crones of Rowanswood. I am actually at the part where they are headed into Fae territory, which is going to be quite interesting, I'm sure, because the Fae and the witches do not get along very well at all. I'm enjoying it. Olivia also is 60, and it's so refreshing to have a female main character who is not like 18 years old and the tiniest, most petite, but also somehow very curvaceous and busty. So I am really loving Olivia and the shenanigans that she and the other 3 crones of Rowanswood are getting up to. A female main character who's in her 60s with a talking cat, a very cute house pixie named Hamish in a hidden village in Cornwall. Sign me up. And I completely forgot to mention the author. It's Kirsten Marion. It smells absolutely delicious in here. It's the other thing that I really enjoy about baking during the day is without having to light a candle or do anything other than fix the things I'm trying to fix, my house smells so good. So good. Earlier when I was working on my laptop, I got almost all of my inboxes down to 0. I have like 4 emails. It's ridiculous. I worked on a thumbnail for an upcoming video and also titled and wrote the description for that. So now I get to just kind of settle and read. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna jump back into September. This is one of those examples of the descriptions being so immersive. Born and bred in Scotland, she experienced each year this lifting of the spirits as August slipped away off the calendar and one could stop pretending that it was summer. Some years it was true, there came seasons like the old days, when the lawns grew dry from the lack of rain and golden evenings were spent watering the roses and sweet peas and the rows of young lettuces in the vegetable garden. But too frequently the months of June, July, and August were nothing but a long and soggy endurance test of frustration and disappointment. Gray skies, chill winds, and dripping rain were enough to dampen the enthusiasm of a saint. The worst were those dark and muggy days when in desperation one eventually retreated indoors and lit a fire, whereupon the sky instantly cleared and the late afternoon sun dazzled out over the sodden garden, tantalizingly too late to be of use to anybody. I love that. It's so descriptive. I can see it. I can feel it. And Rosamund Pilcher specifically is an author that is able to do that for me every time I read her. Okay, so there's only so much footage I can do of me sitting on the couch reading and working on my laptop. So I figured we would end off in the kitchen. Show you my granola. I'm very pleased with it. I like when it gets a little bit crispier and darker. Wow, that's really good. Now I'm sure I would like it more with the coconut oil versus the avocado oil. And I really would love to have like some pumpkin seeds specifically in that. For how easy it was to make and for using things that I just had on hand, I'm thrilled with that. And then this will last like 1 to 2 weeks. I'm also going to just go ahead and put away the baked oats. Oh, wow. That was like a literal perfect fit. Then I'm hoping this last piece will fit in this tiny jar or container. Those are still a little warm though, so I'm not gonna put them in the fridge yet. But we successfully made some baked oatmeal, some granola, had a little chat, read a little book, did a little work. My day is definitely not over. It's only 4 o'clock, but Jonathan should be getting here fairly soon. I'm going to sit back on the couch and keep getting some work done because there's a whole task I forgot that needed to be done today. So that's why I stopped mid-reading and switched over to working again. And I don't know what I'm gonna make for dinner yet. I know that at some point this week I'm gonna make chili because I need to use up some of the black beans that I made in the crock pot yesterday. I also know that I want to make like a roasted vegetable creamy soup. I know that there's gonna be some sort of pasta this week. I just don't know if I'm gonna do a spicy vodka sauce with some roasted vegetables or an Alfredo sauce with some broccoli and salmon. But thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you got a couple of things done that might have been on your to-do list. I'm gonna go and sit back on the couch until I have to get up again and come back in the kitchen to cook dinner. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Until next time.